Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lubec. Happy birthday to you.
We missed the countdown clock, but we can still count down.
7. Be on YouTube in the morning.
We do have an addition to the program. I would like to thank Vern Ross, who is our history guru, for putting together some words.
Start off with, most of you folks know the town of Lubec is like your right hand. 40 Head, Flag Point where the village is, North Lubec, Straight Bay, Crow's Neck, with West 40 Bay in between, Johnson's Bay, South Bay, and Straight Bay in between. Pretty much the configuration of the town. Tradition says a party of French Canadians first settled here on Seward's Neck. There were supposedly 2 settlements of them, but they were driven out, captured by English Colonel Church in August of 1696. There were Indian villages at North Lubec. One of them was at the head of Mill Cove. It's a well-protected place. There were clam flats for clams and plenty of fish outside. And there were many large white birch trees on North Lubec at that time, and this provided a lot of bark for the Indians to make their canoes of it. As a boy, I'd wandered the woods quite a bit, and a lot of times I'd come across a raspberry patch somewhere. So I'd go to a birch tree and cut off some birch bark and make a little container to carry some raspberries home for supper. In the late 1700s, and after the Revolutionary War, settlers began coming up the coast. And after coming around West 40 here into the relatively quiet waters of Passamaquoddy Bay, leaving the great swells and rough waters of the Bay of Fundy behind, selected locations to clear land and build their dwellings. North Lubec seemed to be the first to be settled, and mostly on the eastern side of it. There were other settlers in Straight Bay, and up to the head of South Bay, West Lubec we know now, and that was called South Bay. I can remember my grandmother on the Dixie Road saying, we have to go up to the bay to get some flour and sugar, because it was still referred by the old people as South Bay. Lubec was a part of Lincoln County at that time, Massachusetts. Several times petitions were sent to the Commonwealth requesting designation of the area as a township, and protection granted for them, because they were not very well protected. They were harassed by the Canadian people and the American people as well, because there was no law enforcement at the time. The boundary had not been established at that time between Canada and the United States. The British believed it was down near the Penobscot River. And so the General Court resolved in June 18, 1781, a petition that was put in to designate the town as Township 8, Range 6. And that's what it was known as at the time, the Township 8. They also named a committee of 7 people to lay out the township in lots of 100 acres each. A plan was made of the lots as laid out. The Massachusetts land agent was then to give a deed to the lot with a payment of $5, the expense of the survey, and swearing in allegiance to the United States. Quite a few of the people who had settled here were of British descent. A copy of the original plan of the Solomon Cushion plan was made in 1824. And many deeds today still refer to lots numbers on the Solomon Cushion plan. The lots on North Lubec are kind of unique in that they're not parallel lines to divide the neck up into 100-acre lots. Because where there were settlers there, and sometimes the houses were fairly close together, the line would run off at angles in order to give them approximately 100 acres each. Straight Bay also was the same way. There are names listed on that Solomon Cushion plan that there are people maybe here today who are descendants of those people. On my mother's side, Denbo's Point still carries the name of Denbo. They had that land in 1798. Just prior to 1800, Eastport became organized as a town. This included Lubec, Treats Island, Dudley Island, and Pope's Folly. But problems began to crop up with this relationship. Eastport was more commercially oriented, where Lubec was more agricultural. There was also a problem to attend the town meetings at that time. Many of the Lubec residents had to travel as much as 6 miles or more by small boat to get to Eastport for the town meeting. To go by land is 40 miles, but they were just muddy pathways through the woods at that time as there were no roads. Weather and winds in March, the time of the town meeting, made it so rough that many times the Lubec residents could not go in their boats to Eastport to attend the meeting, and both for money for schools or other town business that had to be done. So they were being taxed and regulated somewhat without proper representation. This led the Lubec people requesting separation from Eastport as a separate town. A petition was written up with their request. It was accepted by Thomas Burnham, the town clerk, who forwarded it to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for action. I might add here that in 1849, a small vessel left Lubec with 39 people on it, and some lumber and other supplies, and they sailed down the coast of the United States, down around South America, around the tip of South America and up the west coast to California. There were 39 people on board that little ship. After departing from a port in Chile, Thomas Burnham, who was the town clerk that received the petition, became sick and died. And he was buried at sea off the west coast of South America. The ship arrived in California after 160 days at sea, scarcely large enough in a coaster for a coastal ship. So that's kind of hard to believe, all those people for 160 days on that little ship. Town meetings were held at North Lubec to conduct the business of the town. The area gradually built up with the can plant, the sardine factory, and many other buildings, and North Lubec with a ferry that connected to Eastport. In 1814, the British, to enforce their claim on the boundary, took possession of Eastport, Castine, and they were thwarted in their attempt to take Machias. Possession of Eastport forced the merchants to pay tariffs to the British government as well as to the United States. As a result, some of the merchants left Eastport. It has been said that one enterprising individual took all of his money and his papers and everything that they were not supposed to take with them, and he strapped them all around his chest with a big bandage. He put on a real fancy lady's dress and a fancy hat with a brim that partially covered his face. And he walked down to go into his boat where a British soldier helped him into the boat. And he came to Lubec with all his possessions. Another one hid his possessions in his grandfather's club. They were allowed to bring furniture over at that time. So these merchants settled on Flag Point where the village is now. And that was the beginning of where the village is now. As a result of the village taking the Eastport. This is just a brief history. Thank you very much for your patience.